our previous episode of Market Journal, we discussed the outlook for the coming grazing season. Earlier this week, we talked with Nebraska Extension forage specialist Bruce Anderson about what producers should be aware of when it comes to early spring grazing.
Well, there's a few things we've got to be careful about with the early grazing. Certainly we can go out there and start grazing a little bit early, but we've got to recognize that with this early date, the growth rate on the grass, even though it greened up fast and it was growing real good right away, it's not going to be as fast as it normally would be 3 or 4 weeks from now. So one of the things that we've got to be real careful with is just our stocking rate, how many animals we put on there so we don't put too much pressure on there. And when we're going to be on there grazing this early, also be especially careful that we leave enough residue or leave enough leaf tissue out there so that plants can continue to harvest the sunlight, can continue to grow, and not be put under too much early stress. Otherwise, that could jeopardize the overall growth later on in the season when we really expect to see a lot of growth from those grasses.
Does that mean you're not leaving these animals out there for very long?
Well, that could be a way of doing it. I think more practically for a lot of people, it's going to be a situation where you put fewer animals out. Maybe you don't put out the whole herd at one time. You just select certain animals. And typically, if you're going to select certain animals, I'd suggest selecting the animals that have the highest nutrient demand out there, because those animals will get the benefit from this real high quality forage more so than maybe some of the other animals might have.
You recommend using hay as well out in that area?
I think that this grass is going to be really rich. And so there's a lot of risk from diarrhea, looseness on the animals. Having some kind of dry feed, some dry hay out there is going to be much appreciated by the animals, help settle things down, help them adapt to this big change in terms of their diet.
One of the other concerns, grass tetany. How much of a danger could that be right now?
Well, I think tetany could be a special danger here this coming year with the early grass that we have out there, especially if we've got quite a bit out there and animals are being put in pressure with cloudy conditions, cooler temperatures than what we might normally see in the month of May when we start our grazing. So producers really need to be, I think, alert to the risk of grass tetany. And one of the things that we want to do with grass tetany, which is a low blood magnesium situation, is start feeding them early some magnesium types of supplements out there. That's one of the things that we're going to have a challenge with, because we maybe should have started this 2 or 3 weeks ago to really build up the magnesium level in the animals. Now when they go out there, they're going to be in a sudden shock, and we've definitely got to have that magnesium type of supplement available for them.
Can you describe signs of problems?
Well, typically what we'll see when animals are starting to show signs of grass tetany is an individual animal might kind of graze away from the herd. They tend to show a little nervousness, a little irritability, just kind of act different from what they might normally do so. And if that's kind of happening with the animals, maybe one of the things that would be good is to move them gently away from the herd, get them to a magnesium type of source out there, maybe a little extra supplement that's a little bit more palatable. Give them some alfalfa hay, which is high in magnesium, or another legume hay, which is high in magnesium, to try and get them settled down. And if you start seeing them dropping, going down, and having extra troubles, get veterinary assistance out there to treat them.
Usually affects older animals?
It usually affects the older animals. It can affect any of them, but older cows, especially those that are in the process of lactating heavily after calving, are going to be the most susceptible type animals we have.